Hi, welcome to the Stitch TV show. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Pam. We're happy you're joining us again today. The Stitch is an online quilt talk show, the perfect soundtrack for your sewing room. Join us for twice monthly talk shows, celebrity interviews, virtual stitch-ins, book clubs, podcasts, and more. You can learn more at thestitchtvshow.com.
Our show today is brought to you by the Stitch TV show shop. You can find digital patterns, branded show merchandise like t-shirts and mugs, laser cut applique kits, and more.
What are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about how size matters, from quilting large quilts on your domestic machine to whether quilt size matters. We're joined by our latest quilt pattern, Little Pink Houses.
So Lynn, what's been up?
I think we were interviewed.
It's a vague memory at this point.
No, it's not. Actually, it was a really good experience.
There's a permanent record.
I know, of us talking.
And it'll be in the Quilt Alliance, which also means it'll be in the Library of Congress.
That's right. We are
That's a little
officially
horrifying.
now in the Library of Congress. Go us. But we were interviewed by
Dr. Elizabeth Townsend Gard.
Yes, Gard.
She's a professor at Tulane University. And she,
Does
through whatever higher academic math magic happens, has funding to do a study project about the quilt industry.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, how that runs. Like, what all goes into it? Because there's obviously fabric, patterns, batting, like the basics, but like all the surround stuff, like even what we do.
Right,
Kind of like,
exactly.
Oh, well, how about that?
So anyway, somehow she contacted us and wanted to interview us. And what I liked about it is, I mean, you always see us talk together, and she interviewed us separately. So I talked to her, and then you talked to her, I think, right after I did.
I think so, yeah.
But both of our episodes have dropped. She dropped them the same day, so you can listen to me and then listen to Pam. And we don't talk about the same things.
Oh, no. You
'Cause
talked
I
about
was-
quilt appraisal,
I
and I talked
did.
about, like, our business model and what
Right.
we do and my
And your
whatever.
perspective of it. I was like, oh, wow, she thinks that. Who knew? Well, now I do.
Now you know.
Now I know. No, it was a good interview, I thought. And we broke records for her.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. We had the most listens when our episode dropped. I think it's only because people were finding Mary Fonts and Tulip Pink,
Yeah.
and we were after
We
that.
are hitching our wagon to the, or hitching our
That is
star to
totally-
their wagon. Whatever we're hitching to, it was theirs.
Yes,
And
it
we hitched
was.
it.
And we hitched it, and it went well. So, but it was a great interview. I enjoyed talking to her. We tried to meet her live and in person,
Yeah.
but what I understand is we're doing an appearance at her booth at Houston
Festival.
at the International Quilt Festival. We will be in her booth. We haven't figured out what times yet or not, but we will be there.
Yeah, Fall 2018 Quilt Festival.
Right.
For those of you from the future.
Dun, dun, dun. So if you're coming to market, we will show where we're going to be when, because I'm teaching some classes and you are
Hanging out. Heckling you from
Exactly.
the audience.
As normal. It would be
Possibly
normal.
handing her things. Hitting her with a giant powder puff.
Because I've been told I'm a mess and I need help.
No, you should need a handler.
Yes, that's what my sister said. My sister followed me around at a quilt show once, and she told me I needed a handler. And then she called my mother-in-law and said, "You're going with her to the next quilt show. Here's all you need to know."
I wrote
And
her
then
name on her
Andy-
bus ticket so she can get home.
And then
Here's her snack.
Pam put together this packet and sent it to Debbie, my mother-in-law. Here's what you need to do to handle Lynn. I need help. Anyway, I'm just like a squirrel. I get distracted about stuff lots of times. It's true. I know
I thought
it's
it was
true.
that you were like a dog who saw a squirrel, not the squirrel itself.
Well, the squirrels are very, like,
Jumpy.
yeah. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Large quilts, quilting on
She's
domestic.
a little nuts.
That's true.
Quilting large quilts on a domestic machine. I've done this.
Have
many
you?
times. Oh.
Have you really? Actually, I've done this.
I was gifted a Singer sewing machine for high school graduation.
Like a featherweight?
No. Like a 1992 Singer buy it at the store. Just good old 7-inch throat.
Oh,
Like whatever you buy it. whatever random big box store.
Wow.
And that went with me to college. I was not quilting at that point, but that machine stayed with me until a couple years into my marriage. So that's what I learned to quilt on.
That's what you made your wedding dress on.
What I made wedding dress on, what I made my parents' king size quilt on, and quilted on as well. And I have told this story before, but for those that haven't binge watched everything and have it fresh in your minds, king size quilt, I think it was probably 105 inches square.
Right.
Because my mom likes more of a bedspread size than a quilt size. So there's enough drape. And also because when your cats burrow under it, it makes a lump and you still want to hide your mattress.
That's true.
So I learned several things in that venture. One, you need to expand the surface that surrounds your machine. And having an extension table is incredibly helpful and will help reduce the drag on the quilt. Because the bigger the quilt, the more it weighs.
Yes.
And if it's so big, you may find it helpful to use a lighter batting, like a polyec batting, instead of a cotton batting, because those can be incredibly heavy.
I've actually quilted a king-size quilt on a domestic machine. I really have. And what I learned is that when you're marking it, don't use a purple marker.
Because it'll disappear on you.
Because I spent one whole day marking this quilt and went in the next morning to quilt it and cried because it was gone. I was like, what happened? It was not a happy day. I'm surprised I'm still a quilter.
I didn't
Not
mark
a happy
mine.
day.
I think I just did like big pebbles.
I think I'd read somewhere that you needed to mark it, so I actually I measured with a ruler and drew lines because it was all straight line, but straight lines, and then I did a crosshatch design where I did straight lines one way and then turned it and did straight lines the other way, and I did it diagonal on the quilt. So I've done it. I call it quilt wrestling.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Huh.
You need to take frequent breaks. I would
Yes.
not sew more than 45 minutes at a time, which is about like one episode of like an hour-long
Yeah.
TV show.
Right.
Or two like half-hour ones, because math. So don't just, as much as we love you guys that binge us, like one show of ours and then take a break.
Take a break.
Stand up, stretch, get a drink of water, buy a
Yep.
break, pet the dog. Because otherwise you will get fatigued, and you also need to be conscious. There's a real tendency to kind of hunch your shoulders. You got to remember to like drop your shoulders.
Now, when I did it, this is what made sense to me at the time. And I was doing straight line quilting, and then I had it measured and then did another line. I rolled it up to where I was dealing with 2 rolls of fabric and just this part in the middle was flat. And then I threw the
Yes.
over my
Throw
shoulder.
it over your shoulder like a continental soldier.
Right. Do your ears hang low?
Do they wallow to and fro?
Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Yes, we were children. Anyway, so I throw it over the shoulder, and then I would quilt this way, and then I would slowly roll up the outer side and unroll the inner side that was inside the part of my machine between the needle and the edge of the machine. And then I just did that to the edge, rolled it back up, turned it around, put it over my shoulder, and did the same thing on the other side. Is that this is a Lynn made up technique. That's what I did, but I'm
legit.
assuming that's what other people do.
Well, when we took the class from Sue Nichols, she showed on a domestic machine a picture of, and hers is the same thing of like kind of create the rolls and throw the excess over your shoulder to take that weight off so it's not dragging on the floor.
Right.
Because even trying to bunch it on your lap, what I have found, like a fold will get caught on the quilt under
yeah.
the table, and then you're kind of tugging at it.
And it helped if there was something behind, here, like a table or something.
Like a TV tray or
that
something.
it could set on, so that as it's taking the weight off your shoulder, as well as it's helping to, you're not jerking it to slide it through kind of thing, because you want it to pull through as easily as possible.
Yeah. Now, I have also found I took my ironing board and put that
that's a good
behind my
idea.
sewing table because that's height adjustable, and that gave me another 12 inches or so. Now, ironing board covers aren't necessarily smooth. You want something that's smooth so it's not creating drag. So I have seen people disassembled Tyvek envelopes, which is like a shipping envelope.
Oh, good idea.
Not the bubble wrap kind. That's just got friction, but it's like the slick kind of plastic feeling kind.
Right.
And you can wrap that around your ironing board and just tape it on the underside, and that'll make that smoother. Now, it will also intrigue your cats.
What?
And they will like pick at it, and then you'll have to recover it.
Multiple times.
The other thing I've done, I know Leah Day had shown a tip of, she basically drilled brackets and attached them into her ceiling and then hung bungee cords from it to hold up quilts.
I've seen that.
I've seen
people do that.
I was not committed to drilling holes in my ceiling.
Well-
so my solution is dog grooming arms.
I started to say, I've seen people buy dog grooming arms,
yeah,
which
you've
is,
seen me do that.
and I saw it online too, not just you, but I have seen Pam. But it's a handle that kind of has a hook where you can hook the dog's collar onto so that they'll stand still while they're being washed or groomed or whatever.
Yeah, what I
So
like about
they
those, they're
do a
height
bungee
adjustable.
cord.
So I leave mine like up pretty high, and then I got some bungee cords that are about yay long, and then some photographer's backdrop clamps or muslin clamps. And those get, the bungee cord part gets looped through the handle there, and then I can just bring that down and clip it to like the outer corners. I have 2 on my Sweet 16 that I use.
So what that does is it takes the weight off the quilt and it allows you to move it without pulling it.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be pulling it under your needle because that'll give you skip stitches, uneven. It can, so if as long as you can move smoothly, that helps.
Yeah. And I will say those are about $30, $35 a piece.
Not bad.
And I got purple ones, so you can get them in little fun colors too.
There you go. That's exciting.
And it didn't require me to get a ladder and drill into my ceiling, which I was hesitant about.
Now, I have to admit, I bought these and I've used them a few times, but because I don't do a majority of my quilting on a domestic, I do majority of my quilting on the long arm. This is one thing that you can use are these rings.
Hoops or rings.
Hoops or
Those
rings.
are weighted hoops.
These are weighted hoops. So these are heavy. So what you do is you put them, your quilt sandwich will be in the middle, and then you would stack them on each other. And this allows you to move, and it gives you something to hold on to. Because that's one of the things that causes problems is grabbing the quilt.
Especially if you have strength issues in your hands, that can be a challenge.
Now, the other thing I know you use, right, although these are mine, these are grippy gloves, and they have little dots on them, and they're tacky.
Yeah, those are, I think, the Bernina brand.
Yeah,
they're
these
a
are Bernina.
fairly heavy yarn, though, for the weave. I use Machinger's brand, which are a much lighter fabric, so my hands don't get as sweaty.
I can't say I use these all the time because, again, I don't quilt on my domestic very often, but they came with my machine, so it was part of a kit, so I just haven't bought any other brands.
Now, in the U.S., you can even find, like, gardening gloves that have the rubber dots on the fingertips for $1. Because these are custom for quilters, of course, there's, like, a price markup.
Right.
So
The
feel free
dollar
to
store,
check out the gardening gloves that have like the rubber tips on them. As long as you don't go garden with them, get dirt all over them, and then quilt, they're perfectly fine to use.
Yes. The thing you're looking for is just the grippy dots.
And also making sure that they're the right size for you. I have accidentally bought too small a glove and then like poked holes in all the fingertips.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that pair didn't last long.
I guess not. But if they're $1, it's not going to be
Apparently
a
I
big
have
deal.
man hands.
Now, I will say you're going to be surprised, but I have been quilting on my domestic machine more lately than my long arm. Because I've been doing smaller pieces, though. If it's wall size or bigger, it gets on the long arm. But if it's under, like this, I would quilt on my domestic machine, like small placemat size. Mm-hmm. And part of it's me just going, I should practice and get better at this. And plus, I've been doing some thread painting and stuff, so.
Now, I think another important thing, if you can, and your machine supports it, always stop with your needle down.
Oh, yes,
because when you need to reposition your hands, you don't want your sandwich to slide, and then you have like a big jaggedy stitch.
I would say that, and to me, that's one of the most important aspects in buying a new machine is having a needle up-down position. Mm-hmm. And not just for quilting, for applique it's important, and I think it's important for piecing. Because if you stop even piecing, if you stop with your needle down, it allows you to adjust that seam so that it's feeding in the way you want it to, So that's a key. If you're looking for a new machine and it doesn't have that, then I would skip that machine.
Yeah. I think, it might have been the first season we talked about just general tips for quilting on a domestic. And those hold true for large quilts as well. And it's things like, the frequent breaks that we had talked about.
Right.
It is going slower than you think you need to. If you have a governor for speed on your machine, slide it down so you can't put the pedal to the metal and zoom off, because that's how you get uneven stitches. You can run into issues. You need to stop with your needle down and reposition your hands frequently.
Right.
Because what I do, just because I'm me and I know I need to stop it, it's like I'll be quilting and then I'm like, I don't want to reposition my hands, so I just keep going. All of a sudden, I'm stretched out way beyond, like I'm Superman. And what I need to do is just stop. And a better place to stop is where there's a seam intersection, or if you're at a point where you're crossing over threads, if you're doing loops, that's kind of where you want to stop, where it's going to be less noticeable. That in case it does shift a little bit, like if you're on just a smooth curve, stopping right on the outside of that, it's more likely to notice that's where the quilter stopped.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. Well, and what I do too, and I think that not every machine has a stitch regulator on it. My big machine does, my travel machine doesn't. So if I'm in a class, I have to quilt without a stitch regulator. And so what I have found is find a song, find a rhythm, and just kind of either sing that to yourself or something to get that speed equal to how fast you're sewing. And then that helps you keep that stitches the same. And I just kind of...
What's your song?
I don't know that I have a specific song. I just kind of whatever. I just know it needs to be a certain rhythm in my head.
Yeah, my default go-to is the same one you use for CPR, Staying Alive.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
Pretty much.
Okay. I was listening to David Taylor the other day, and he said his is Bad Bad Leroy Brown.
Well, there you go.
And I'm like, okay, David Taylor's a pretty awesome quilter, so can't argue. But that's one, find a song you like and kind of move your hands and make sure that the sewing machine is going to the same beat so that it's keeping that same rhythm so that your stitches are even.
Right.
And if you have to put it on loop, I'm just saying.
That's how earworms get started.
That's how they start, yeah. Just hope it's not, it's a small world after all.
No.
Now I've got everybody in the room.
But if you do the Shrek version, that's pretty cute.
It's a small world after all.
So,
it's a world of laughter, a world of tears.
World of hopes.
World of fears.
So much that we share. It's time we're aware. It's a small world after all.
I know. We got to film another segment.
No, we don't. So one last bit. You had talked about rolling up. I tend to do more of the puddle or smoosh method, where it's just kind of get the space going around, that's clear that I need to work on, and then kind of squish everything else out around it.
Oh, okay. I think if you've got a good table, that works.
Right.
That helps.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't do a lot on my big quilts. I'll do smaller stuff. And I did something the other day. I was quite proud of myself. I have to show it to you. It's our chair cover. I quilted it. Anyway. But I did something stupid. You know what I did? So I was quilting this chair cover for our market. We're going to be at market, so we bought chairs and we made chair covers with our names on them and stuff. So I did all that. And then I thought, well, I have to quilt these. So I quilted them, and we quilted the front and the back of it, right? So I was quilting...
Them together?
No. No, this is worse than that. So I was quilting it. I haven't told anybody this yet. So I was quilting it, but I was quilting it from the inside of the chair cover instead of looking at what's going to be on the back side. And I didn't think about that. And I thought, I should sign this. So I quilted my name into it. Backwards.
She's a Ginger Rogers of quilting.
Exactly. So now when it's put together, I'm like, take it. Now you can't see my name, and I'm not going to take it out. It's in there backwards. I can show you. It says Lynn Ann. It's cute. Can't see it.
Doesn't it, in fact, say knob?
Yeah. It does. So if you're going to sign it, make sure that that's my tip. If you're going to sign it, you're quilting from the front. Now we're going to take a closer look at Little Pink Houses, and we'll be right back. Hi, we're back, and our next topic is, I don't know what this means. Does size matter?
This was a viewer suggestion.
Okay.
One might suggest our viewers perhaps come out of the gutter. Thank you for your suggestion.
Does size matter? So I'm going to say yes, it does. That's my stance.
I'm going to say it depends on
that's my stance. Yes, it matters.
What you're trying to do with it.
So I don't know.
If you're just going to admire it from afar, it doesn't
literally,
matter.
my notes are, I don't know.
I didn't even write notes.
I didn't even
know. Literally?
No notes. So
yes.
Size matters. I think so, yes.
Well, I think it was more...
Because people are different sizes.
They are.
So they need different... Yes, we know. I swear, every time I try to wear heels to be taller next to her, she wears heels that day. And I'm like,
because I always wear heels.
Doesn't help.
You know why I wear heels?
Because it makes you feel grown up.
Because it reminds me to suck in my stomach.
Well, that's a good plan.
See?
I wear them to try to be taller.
Well, how's that working out?
Not well. And get this. So I got to have lunch the other day with a cousin who I haven't seen since I got married. Like, we just didn't get to, they've lived in different states or whatever. So she was in the area. I had lunch with her. We had the best lunch. It was so, so fun. And I don't know what happened, but everybody else in my family is super tall. She's almost 6 foot. Like, she's 5'11". Her sons are 6'3" and 6'5". And I'm like, what happened here? So I don't know what happened.
They didn't need to put more material.
All of my other cousins are super tall too on my other side of the family. So I don't know. I guess fun size is what our family needed. So that's me. So size does matter. Yes. Okay. What else do we know about sizes? I don't know that there are standard sizes. There's relatively close to.
It depends on, like bed quilts. You got to get it to cover the mattress top and the drop, which is the length of the side that you're trying to cover. And now there's all these fancy deep pocket mattresses.
I started to say some drops are like 8 inches now and 12 inches now.
There's like 14, 16-inch drops I have seen.
Really?
Well, because when you buy a mattress and it's super plush, and then you've got the egg crate foam on top and
And then you've got the... What's under the mattress?
The mattress pad?
No.
The box spring?
Box spring. That's what I'm going. Thank you. Box
no,
spring.
But we did some 1980s ruffled bed skirts at my house. So.
Oh, wow.
I did that to my daughter. My son has a trundle bed, so it's not an issue.
Yeah. So they can hide stuff under their bed?
If he did not have a bookshelf positioned such that you couldn't pull it out, yes.
Oh, okay.
For all I know, he just shoves dirty socks in there. I don't know.
Ugh.
But he's in charge of cleaning that.
I'm not in charge. Don't want to be in charge.
But so we have a king-size bed, and then the box spring for that is like 2 twin-size box springs, essentially.
Yes, I think that's kind of normal with a king.
Yeah, so I always make my king-size quilts, for my bed in particular, a little wider than I do longer.
I do too.
So there's always like an extra little design border that only runs on the sides. That also helps me know which way I should turn the quilt when I make the bed back up.
Well, and we have a footboard, and
right,
so I don't like tucking the quilt in between the footboard because I don't sleep with the quilts tucked. I don't like the sheets tucked. I don't like the quilts tucked. I need freeform sheets and quilts.
I will get into bed and sleep, and it will look like I did not move at all. My sister,
she does that too. Angie can fold open, get in bed, put it over her, and literally get out of bed and make it the next day, and there's no big deal. I destroy the bed.
I will say
quilts are everywhere. pillows.
The exception is if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm hot, like I stick one foot out. But you got to be careful the monsters don't get you. Or the cat.
I'm not going to go into it all I do because there's issues.
You helicopter. We've shared rooms before. So we're like, we cannot share bed. Like if we're like,
but at least I warned you. At least I warned you. I was like, you don't want to sleep with me. I'm not fun to sleep with. And one of our roommates in the sitting in this room walked next to the bed, and apparently my leg was sticking out outside of the bed, and she kicked me, or I walked into her and kicked her accidentally. I didn't know she was walking around the bed.
And I was awake for that, but none of us were aware everyone else was awake. We were all just super sweaty because the AC was not working.
Okay, yeah, the AC.
Anyway.
It was hot. It's hot now.
That's what happens when we get viewer suggestions. There's bunny trails.
It's because we don't know. Okay, so there are standard size type of quilts, and we're going to show you this over here. We're going to show you this over here.
Yes.
So there's baby size is 45 by 45. That's like for a little small child, like baby. Like, don't you think?
It's right there in the name.
Under,
for a baby.
Yes, but I'm thinking like under, what, 8 months, 10 months? When they start walking, don't you want them bigger?
They usually come out of the chute under 20 inches long, so yeah. So yeah, that way you can kind of like burrito them up.
Right. Okay, so but they don't need to be too big because you don't want to, that's my point. All right. Then they say crib size is 45 by 60. That seems big to me.
Well, but you're not supposed to use quilts and cribs.
So. Now, when I make a baby quilt, though, I literally make a 60 by 60 inch quilt.
See, I go for around the 45 by 60. Usually it's like 40 by 54. And that way I can use a single width of fabric for the backing. Because babies don't care.
Babies don't care. Oh, well, yeah, maybe I do.
Because then it works for them, like, as they grow, it can turn into a lap quilt.
I want to make, because I just am like, well, they're not going to be a baby very long.
No.
So I'm always thinking the toddler will drag it around. Or I hope. If I'm making a quilt for a friend who's having a baby, I want it to be something that they're going to use them more than 8 months. You know, because in my vision, I'm assuming the quilt that I'm giving them, they're going to have, what did they call it? Belly time or something? Tummy time. You can tell I don't have children. I have dogs that are awesome.
They're good at tummy time, too, though.
They are. They like
babies
tummy rubs.
Babies usually hate it.
No, Josie
they got
loves
big old
tummy rubs.
Cantaloupe heads that they can't hold up with their little wobbly necks. That's why you do tummy time, is so they practice and they don't quite look so bobbleheady. Babies are great, y'all. Thank goodness it only lasts for a few months, though. Yes. Okay, so then from crib size, we kind of moved to like random couch / throw size.
60 by 72 is what this says for a throw size. I think that's a good couch quilt.
I end up doing a lot of like 72 by 72.
You're taller, though. 60. You have to admit, 60 inches is like here on me. Because I'm only 5'2" and 3/4. So,
but see, if it's
about right.
If it's going to a single person, like you don't want to judge, 60 by 72, great. If it's a couple, like make it a little wider. That way they can kind of.
No, I don't share the quilt. You share the quilt?
It's newlywed gift, honey. Of course they share the quilt. That's how the babies get there.
Dude, we don't even share the couch. He gets his own couch. I get my couch. And it's actually the boy couch and the girl couch because Josie lays with me on my couch and Jock lays with him on his couch. We do have 3 couches in the living room.
We just have cuddle puddles.
Cuddle puddles.
It's like me and 3 cats. Garrett has his own chair.
Mike said he hasn't sat next to me in 10 years because that's how old Josie is because she demands to sit right on me. So it's the girl couch.
So then we start getting into bed size.
Which they're saying is 67 by 99.
I tend to do like 65 by 85. It works okay.
For twin?
Well, I think this...
I do them a little bit wider. I think I'm like the 72 by...
Huh. Interesting. The length in the twin matters more, like if you're making a quilt to go to college with someone going into a dorm, because lots of times they have extra long twin, which I don't even know why that's a thing. Like, I get there's tall people.
I'm like, there's 6, my cousin's 6'5".
But like, what kind of bed do they have at home? And you have to buy special sheets. Like, that was a nightmare.
That's really tall.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see these people. Oh, and they're from Houston, so I get to have dinner with them one night in Houston when we're there. Very excited.
Okay.
You're leaving.
Maybe.
Oh, really?
It may not be. I won't know for a couple of weeks.
Well, then you'll get to have it too. All right. So
maybe I don't want it.
You will. She's really cool. So then there's double size, and they're saying that's 82 by 96. How comes twins are taller than 96?
I know, that's what's perplexing. I wonder if they're just counting that twin as like, assume it's an extra long twin.
Okay.
But then queens get up to 88 by 104, and then kings are 106 by 108, which is super cute because I usually do like 110 by 115.
Yeah, I think mine are bigger. The biggest I can handle on my long arm's 120.
Which is the size of the king size batting. So I know I can't go over like 115 because then I got a piece
extra.
of batting. Yeah.
I got to have extra room. So I think the biggest I will do on there is about 115.
Yeah.
Because I want room all the way around the quilt so that I can quilt to the edge. Although that Coffee's Not My Cup of Tea is a big quilt. I don't know how big it is. But I'll be real honest with you. I never look at these. I make the quilt the size I want it, and it just ends up being that size. I never, measure and go. I just look at it and go, yeah, that's about right. That's what I want it to be. Or whatever the pattern says.
Well, are you making specific bed quilts, though? Because a lot of what you do just seems like, well, it's going to be however big it is.
It's going to be however big it is. I mean, I guess when I did that hand-pieced Coffee's Not My Cup of Tea, that's the last king size I made. And I just made enough blocks that I knew it was going to be big enough. And then threw on the border.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's what it was. I didn't measure. I probably can't tell you. Well, I know I can't right now. But I didn't. I just don't worry about stuff like that.
Like for Little Pink Houses behind us, that's about throw size. It's, 60-something by 70-something.
That works.
You could add a little border on top or bottom and drag it out to a twin if you needed to.
Yeah, if you want it bigger, add another row on the side and another row on the bottom and 2 rows on the side, and you've got a queen. Done. Just make more blocks. That's all you need to do. Make more blocks.
Well, I will say this
Keep making blocks. Make more and more and more and more blocks.
So this particular pattern was designed to use a single jelly roll. So you're going to
buy more jelly rolls.
No. And you're just going to have random leftover strips.
I've done that. I've bought a pattern, and they gave me a kit, and I cut it wrong, and so I had to go buy another kit, and I had a king-size quilt when I was done. It was supposed to be queen, so it's in my bedroom now. It's very nice. I like it. I will learn to pay attention to cut instructions now.
Did you?
No. Did I learn? No, I still cut stuff wrong all the time. And then I have to beg her for fabric, which is very humbling because she makes me beg.
Mm-hmm.
So standard batting sizes are 45 by 60.
For crib.
72 by 90 for twin. 81 by 96 for full or double.
Riddle me this.
Riddle you
this.
If
a twin-size quilt's supposed to be 67 by 99 and a twin-size batting is 72 by 90,
you're
going to need longer batting.
Yeah.
So
they're going to use a double, which is 81 by 96.
And then you're just going to have a big, weird, long strip that you can use for a table runner.
Or one of those rugs we haven't made yet.
True.
That would be fun. I still have to make that rug. The queen is 90 by 108, and then king is 120 by 120.
Ta-da.
So, and then it gives this yardage breakdown.
We're not worried about that.
I know, but I did want to point this out. So I went to a big box store the other day, and I said I was going to buy the whole bolt. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know if people know this. When you look at a bolt of fabric, you can tell about how much is on the bolt by counting the folds. So every 2 folds is about a yard. Now, just count one side. Don't count both top and bottom, right? So just count one side. So I was looking at this bolt, and I counted it, and there were about 6 folds there. So I knew it was about 3 yards. But I noticed there was a little bit extra, like half a fold. So I knew it was a little bit over 3 yards. And I told him, I said, I just want to buy the rest of the bolt. So I bought the whole bolt. And literally, they charged me.
Oh, they charged you down to the inch.
Yes, for a 1/16 of a yard. And they actually shorted me a 1/4 of an inch because it was only 2 inches or over. I'm like,
no, what you do.
2 cents.
Okay.
Baby.
If you want to kind of game it, you tell them, I only want 3 yards. And they're like, oh, there's 2 inches. We could discount that for you at the remnant rate. If it's a big box store, that's literally what they do. Because they don't want to package up this 2-inch width of fabric.
This was a different big box store than that big box store, and they don't.
Oh.
They charge down to the, and I'll tell you off where it was. But I don't normally buy fabric there, but I'll tell you why I buy fabric at the big box stores. Because I would say 90% of my fabric comes from quilt stores. But quilt stores don't always have licensed designs. So you can't get the popular Star Wars and Marvel and Disney and all that kind of stuff. And I was looking for something that was licensed to use as a background to this art quilt I'm making. So that's why I went there. And it feels awful. The fabric feels awful. You can feel the ink on it. Yeah. But it's an art quilt that'll never be washed, so I don't care. But they charged me for a 1/16 of a yard and shorted me. Because it was only 2 inches, and it was a 1/16 of a yard is 2 1/4. So I'm upset about my 3 cents. No, I'm kidding.
Did you write an angry letter? My mother could probably do that for you on your behalf. She loves to write
I didn't write an angry letter. I just was amazed that she just didn't go, oh, yeah, it's just a little over. It's fine. Just take it. And I was like, she's really charging me for those 2 inches. Okay. I'm like.
They do.
And they didn't, and their measurement was right on the line, when you go to a quilt store, sometimes it's, they give you a little lee room. Like, you guys don't cut that leeway.
I don't think Lee room's something else.
It's a word I made up, and it's very useful. It's for extra room. It's extra room on the edge of your fabric before they cut it. Lee room. It's good. We're going to contact Webster next. They had words all the time.
I'll put that on the spreadsheet for you to do.
Okay. Don't. I got so much on the spreadsheet right now. Dear God.
So
all right.
We got to go tackle this spreadsheet. So we're going to wrap it up. So y'all let us know. Is it the size of the quilt or the motion of the machine? Leave a comment on the blog or the YouTube episode, or even in our Facebook group, What's Up Stitches. That's all we have for this episode. Today's show is made possible by the Stitch TV Show Shop, your place for quilt patterns, the Stitch TV Show merchandise, and laser cut applique kits.
We'd like to thank 77 Peaches and Big Think Productions for producing The Stitch. If you've enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on notifications on YouTube, and you'll know immediately when a new episode drops.
The next Virtual Stitch-In is Friday, October 12th at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern, broadcast live on our YouTube channel. Our next book club episode is September 28th. My podcast, Hip to Be a Square, is out on Fridays or Saturdays on iTunes or Google Play.
All those details and more can be found on our website, thestitchtvshow.com. Links to purchase the Stitch TV Show merchandise. Tune in next time with more Quilting Chat with Friends.